What we have seen across the whole of Latin America and other Caribbean countries is communities where there is a very large player in what we call the mining or extractive industry sector. They tend to have a lot of corporate dollars to spend. And over time, there's a sort of dependency that is built around these companies so that the economic and social performance rises and falls with the presence or absence of a large corporate.
We extract natural gas resources and oil vents from the soil, but we do not replace it adequately with human capital formation, particularly in primary school and secondary school level. And this, for example, would go on to haunt regions like the southwest and southeast of Trinidad and Tobago for many years. Schools like Point Fortin West Secondary have a pass rate in mathematics that is less than 10%.
As the average Trinidadian, they'll say, I never been to Cedros, La Brea, or whatever. And that is actually almost by default the policy position too, which is that if you want to think of high human development or economic development, you don't automatically think of those regions, not the Caracas, not, Buenos Aires and so on. So that a pool of funds was created, a set of activities was created to help the economic and social development of these communities is an important first step.
I think it's sometime in 2012 with Atlantic, one of our major stakeholders. They would have come up with a plan to assist in the development of Point Fortin.
So Atlantic liquefies natural gas. The 4 trains are located in the Southwest Peninsula in Point Fortin. It contributes significantly to the gross domestic product of Trinidad and Tobago, and we don't need more than the 4 trains, so it's just that plant in Point Fortin.
We enabled interaction with the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative locally. We also brought Publish What You Pay to the Southwest Peninsula just to be able to raise the awareness about the dynamics of extractive industry areas and host communities.
So we invited some of the local activists, heads of NGOs, teachers, heads of farmers groups, fishermen, advocates together to sort of identify what were the key issues.
The Southwest LED project is a project that started off in 2010. The need that was raised by Atlantic to ensure that their own interventions had sustainability impacts written into it.
It's the first of its kind that was supported by the IDB, funded by the Inter-American Development Bank and Atlantic in the English-speaking Caribbean.
And local economic development is a model where you try and complement what's happening, say at the national level in terms of broad investment in health infrastructure with a kind of bottom-up approach. So you sort of get people, stakeholders, public and private, involved in defining their priorities and driving change in areas that are seen to be very key to pushing the communities forward.
In 2012, the project was formalized and the Trade and Economic Development Unit has been executing the project in the Southwest Peninsula. It is a project that is 36 months old, and the aim of which is to, beside improve the standard of living of the stakeholders in 6 communities of the Southwest, to infuse a participative local economic development approach into development options for that area.
Traditional modes of building economic development in developing economies, I think, have failed. Or what we have done in the past is we have used a top-down approach in which development strategy starts from a high-level government layer and is supposed to trickle down to the grassroots level. We have found over time that this philosophical and approach to planning economic development within communities has failed, and so the localized economic development takes the inverse approach. It starts from the grassroots level and allows growth to filter upwards.
It's important because with problems of poverty levels, unemployment, and finding sustainable uses for your natural resources, LED is really a way of harnessing these natural assets and finding the potential out of them through generating economic activity.
At the end of the day, what we really want to see is that there are new areas of economic drivers. There are new areas for diversification. And we don't just focus on oil and gas, but we look at tourism, agriculture, manufacturing, and other important sectors that traditionally we have neglected.
So when you look at it from a grand scale, the LED project might be a very big project as far as investment is concerned, operating on a smaller scale but with very big goals in mind.
It's a unique and an innovative type of a model that has been designed for Trinidad and Tobago and can be replicated therefore throughout the rest of the country. So the project is divided into 4 components.
The first was to integrate the different stakeholders of the region and align them to work together for the development of the region.
We've been able to work with local government organizations throughout the Southwest, 2 in particular, that is the Point Fortin Borough Corporation, the Siparia Regional Corporation.
A critical part of it in terms of development within any community is public-private partnership. And this particular project provided that kind of collaboration. So in addition to developing relationships, that relationship in terms of us doing projects, successful projects together, it is one of the critical benefits.
We held a few consultations in the Point Fortin area. They were facilitated through the Office of the Mayor, Atlantic, and a few NGO and civil society organizations.
Seeking out the best partnerships. So for example, I think the project design was fortunate to be the beneficiary of partners who wanted the same outcome.
And that's where we met UE, because Dr. Roger Hussain had a team there and he participated in those discussions. And that's sort of where the partnership between Atlantic, the IDB, UE and the communities got started.
My name is Alfred John Williams. I'm in the coconut business from childhood. This business is very promising because right now the demand is more than I can produce. I'm dependent on, probably help to get financing that I'll be able to buy proper machinery, that my output will be much greater.
100%, 100 and more. This one is prepared right. Put this one, it will hydrate. All the waste will go to the bottom and then they'll change the bottom.
Because there's a demand for coconut oil right now. The demand for coconut oil is from nutritional values, medical purposes, skin care, it's good for the babies, the mothers, and even the old ones. With machinery, I'll be able to meet my demands. I'll let you know the demands right now is more than I can produce.
We have component 2, which is formal business principles and practices.
To some extent would have developed certain special purpose vehicles because you want the public sector to operate to some extent as the private, and therefore you increase the state enterprises.
One of the things that the Southwest has focused on is directly improving the lives of the people of the Southwest. One particular intervention was extensive business training.
We have trained over 129 persons, also mentored over 60 persons and assisted them in developing their business plans. They're trying to access loans and funding, and I think that the community initially did not have that sense of hope for
conducting business.
There have been several training workshops that have enhanced the capacity within micro entrepreneurs to grow their business.
So business support comes in various types. Their bookkeeping, if they have problems, they need suppliers. If a farmer needs a market for his products, our caterers would take their products.
While people have a lot of good ideas, they know their product. While that is important, it is not sufficient.
You have a number of entrepreneurs, and in case of the farming industry, for example, the ministry would have trained a number of people to do farming, but they would have never trained the farmers to be business people. These courses, this training were really, really important to us.
Because when you get into the marketplace to compete, there are some disciplines that you must understand. Finance, for example, is a critical one.
The two that truly helped me were the financial training and the marketing.
So one of the first things that they found out is that they needed to pay themselves. It came as a surprise to most people that having paid yourself, the customers still came and the business still grew. So I think that was the first hurdle that they had to pass through. The next piece that they had to treat with is costing. How do you know that your costs are being picked up? How do you know you're not subsidizing your customers? So the two things they did is they started to cost the business differently. They started to pay themselves, and that of itself created a different dynamic.
So you produce a product and you can't sell the product because you have no ideas of how to go outside and market your product. Financial accountability, none. Right? So these training that were given to us were training that were really die-hard needed to really create a complete package. The lecturers that they would source to do the training to us were very experienced lecturers. Mr. Enel had asked me personally, please do not sell your products. And that sounds strange. If you have a product, what else you expect to sell is your product. But then he was saying, do not sell the product. And I was like, what is he really talking about? But sell the value of the product.
I have seen persons that were small or probably not even entrepreneurs change the way that they think in terms of business. I have persons that I can attest to that are now having discussions to put their produce in supermarkets within and around Point Fortin. Additionally, I have seen a lot of small entrepreneurs develop themselves. And while they're not at the place that they want to be, the process is there because they now have the information, the how-to part of it.
Some of them expanding, some of them almost close to exporting, and some of them are on the grocery shelves. 4 years ago they weren't.
Natier's Basic Apiaries is really a beekeeping business that is focused on honey production, and in detail we actually do queen rearing, nuclei production, and value-added products. Vinegar, soaps, different types of soap made from beeswax and honey. Sheeted beeswax. Sheeted beeswax is something that every single beekeeper has to use in his or her colony. I have 2 permanent employees who would work actually in the field. They go and attend to bees with me. They would be looking after colonies, painting boxes, making frames, right? When I started in the very first year as a commercial beekeeper, by the time August, September, I would be run out of honey, I would be clean out of honey. As it is presently, it's totally the opposite. We haven't harvested any honey for the year as yet. I, at the same time, starts the day off with 2.5 drums of honey. And that was honey from last year. We have the oil and gas industry in the Point Fortin area, for example. These industries actually help my business. By workers patronizing my products, honey for example, because you know a lot of workers would be outside in the dust coal, but not only the workers, the company Atlantic LNG itself, they assist entrepreneurs like myself through other programs. And they will also buy our products when the holiday periods like Christmas season come in to give hampers for their workers. In the Southwestern Peninsula, we have what you call Lend. It's a copied from MyPed in Mayaro. And this is where they help small entrepreneurs like myself with soft loans, using very little collateral compared to what a commercial bank would use, and giving the entrepreneur a chance to really rise, where the commercial bank would ask for a number of serious things as land and so forth. They don't.
LEND stands for Loan for Enterprise Network Development, and it's a microfinancing agency that's operating within Point Fortin and the 6 communities there to give persons who are entrepreneurially minded small loans.
Aganar, a youth workforce developmental program which utilizes sport as a tool to teach youths life employable skills. The implementing institutions include Cedar Secondary School, Point Fortin East and West Secondary School. Join us now as we hear what staff and students of the implementing institutions have to say about phase 1 of the program.
What this program does is uses sports to help the children or the students with their academics. It teaches them about teamwork, communication, self-respect, discipline.
It's all about developing youths through life skills training. A lot of them are now furthering their education past the point of secondary school and doing technical vocational courses at NESC. And that, I would say, is a major difference in the community today than when we started.
Become a neurosurgeon, and the Aganar program has taught me various skills using communication, commitment and teamwork, and I can now apply these various skills in assisting my patients.
I came to this project with a different mindset, I'm going to talk to nobody, I'm going to learn nobody. But since the Aganar program coming to the show, it's like every Friday or every time we are Aganar, it's like everybody gears up to go and play football. And through that, it helped me communicate with different people from different areas. People I didn't say I know when I talk to, I still end up laughing and talking to them. At the end of the day, becoming best friends.
We were very enthusiastic about learning, very enthusiastic about some of the activities. The schools were very welcoming to the project and to a program like this for the youths.
I saw students who were formerly very disrespectful to teachers and administration make a complete turnaround.
I am Shaki from Point Fortin West Secondary. I like football, and football helped me to become a better person, and I like interacting with my peers.
My name is Ainsley Gopal, principal of Point Fortin East Secondary School. Early in the delivery of the program, it was observed by deans, subject teachers, and other teachers who interacted with these students in the classroom that the program was having a very positive effect on these students, because in the classroom they were now becoming students that were interested in the curriculum, students who used to give problems before. There was less infractions in the classroom and they were performing better.
We are into personal care using natural ingredients, local fruits and vegetables in all our bath and body products, hair care products. To 2013, I started with South SLD. They introduced us different classes, like to help you how to develop your business more. And from those classes, if you want, you could expand on it. You have like a lecturer would tell you about branding your products, how to market your products, how to do your books, accounting. They will teach you how to know yourself, know your product, how to portray yourself and your product as well. realizing that right in the Point 14 area, there's so much people that I can get source raw materials from. So it was networking was the most important, one of the most important ones that I did with them. I collaborate with Jensen Alexander, the guy who does the chocolates, M4 Flavors. They do sauces, and I also do business with the guy from Citrus with the coconut oil. I buy coconut oil from him as well.
We have component 4, which is just creating the knowledge and developing a model for local economic development in this region.
Disseminating the knowledge created during this project, which is very important for the lessons learned, recommendations, also the mistakes they haven't done for other ones to learn.
I think that this project really has exceeded the expectations that were set. UWI has played a pivotal role in really ensuring that not only were the immediate sort of outcomes achieved in terms of the number of businesses that received training and supports, the number of young people that did our Sports for Development program, and the results that were documented in terms of their participation at school, the work that was done to sort of forge this new agency that will take the program forward. All those things were done, and they were done within the time frame that we expected.
When you walk into the community now, you have a sense of collaboration, you have a sense of cooperation and the community willing to work together. You also have a sense of persons being more willing to participate in development efforts. I think that did not exist when we first started the project.
Anything that deals with economic and development, that is a positive. And for Point 14 in particular, I see the whole presence of this local economic development project as one that can enhance the lives and opportunity of the small businessmen in Point 14.
My relationship with Southwest LED, it's a fantastic relationship. I found out about them about 3 years ago. What I love about the program is that they continue to invite you to seminars. They come to your area. They do workshops, 2-day, 1-day workshops. Before I started with LED, I was like, oh, I had a big conscience. Oh, I would only charge $100 extra or $5 extra, something like that, on my garment or shoes or makeup, what have you. But after being taught by LED, I realized what your markup is supposed to be. You have to charge for everything so that your profit will be, even though it's reasonable to your customer, you are able to make a profit.
Getting involved and getting others to be a part of this, to me, a mammoth project, was a challenge.
We need to also get the persons in the community to buy into local economic development, rather than people looking to go and get a job in one of the energy companies or whatever.
Being able to sustain consensus on the priorities and the way those priorities should be executed took a lot of time in building trust, gaining the confidence, and ensuring that people remained engaged.
The level of agility that was required, not just by the UE team, but by the funders, who were a pleasure to work with in that regard, understood that not everything can stick to a plan. And while your outcome, you would like your outcome to stay fixed and unchanged, the route you take to get there, that may change over time.
Projects such as these need to be more adaptive and more understanding and more flexible to the needs of the persons that have to benefit from these projects, the persons on the ground, the persons who live daily with issues that we have identified in projects like these.
What I do think is one of the main challenges is that cultural challenge and how you affect that change and get communities to understand and work alongside you to adapt quickly to that change. As I mentioned before, it's a long process and change doesn't come overnight.
This change takes time, and when you're talking about people, you really have to build trust and you have to build credibility with them and you have to involve them actively.
There must be an understanding that development is something that's organic. It's something that takes time. It's something that is, it has to be infused into the mentalities of the people that you're dealing with. I think our biggest lesson learned is to give time for change to happen and for sustainable change to happen.
UE has done a lot of analytical work in the community, so they had a very, very good baseline, which when you present people with facts, it really changes their opinion of how the challenges should be addressed.
The model that we used, which was understanding the needs of the community, absolutely was the best way to go.
It is important in designing policies and interventions to always consult the community that it most affects.
We've worked in the area since 2000 doing community baselines with the unit. It's very difficult to know who are some of the key players, who are the leaders, who are the persons that we can get to promote and share the knowledge about the project.
My job on this project was more to be on the ground doing all the field work attached to the activities that was done on the project.
Where you deal with people and you deal with communities, you have to understand, you have to spend some time understanding the baseline environment. What are you going into? What are the conditions that exist that you have to incorporate and include in your design?
Really spending time with the stakeholders in these areas is something that is necessary and is something that would have the most impact at the point of interventions, because you already have these stakeholders, one, being aware and also having buy-in into what you are about to do. Stakeholders must be the center of every type of intervention that is undertaken.
When you're dealing with 6 communities with approximately 25,000 residents, it's very difficult sometimes to get the information out, and so there must be a particular platform for communication, for constant engagement with the community.
I would have definitely written in a very strong marketing and communication aspect to the project. That was one of the biggest gaps that was part of course, the design phase of the project that we missed, but really the lack of having a clear, concise strategy for communication did impact somewhat on the work that we did.
And we actually had to slow down and get someone to help us with the communication and dissemination plan, because what you don't want is a best kept secret. Our achievements were not being communicated with the communities who were in fact beneficiaries of it, but were not aware that they were actually benefiting from this project.
With Southwest LED, a lot of different opportunities presented itself. The professional bottling and the professional label was one of them. In the early stages, like to develop the business plan, I knew nothing. I now lecture bartending at YTEP. This field, which was totally new to me, has so many different arms. Bottling, events, lecturing. So you know, entrepreneurs, when you now start a business, it takes 5 years. Southwest LED has helped throughout, and I think I am ready now. It's different to when I started, and I am ready now.
The key developmental challenges remains to have an interlocking understanding of all stakeholders of the need to work together for the generalized benefit of the community. I think that there is need for the formation of the lead agency in particular with proper funding from the companies from the Southwest, so that something like a steering committee can be formed to help steer the growth process in the Southwest towards the development of goods that could fetch export revenues and towards the creation of jobs that are long-term and sustainable.
Concerns for the community in the Southwest going forward would really be getting that support financially, be it through a lending agency or be it through government assistance, because they would have that expectation that we've done so much for them to this point, we've trained, we've had programs. We do not want that this project should just fall off the radar and they're left to suddenly be taking up local economic development on their own.
The process has to continue now with the formation of the lead agency and a handover of the ideas and planning and managerial posture from the university towards the lead agency.
The benefit is that agencies or persons would not be left out of the decision making, because the value in the agency is such that we now have a wider collaboration of persons coming together.
Now that we are working on setting up the PPM agency or public-private management agency, really that is the embodiment of, I think, the entire project. It really means that what we have left is a strong legacy of that representation at the community level.
We expect and hope that the multinational companies will continue to commit to the importance of developing the Southwest area of Trinidad and Tobago.
We also have had a lot of successes in the business sector, a lot of successes with regards to youth, especially linking youth at the secondary school level to TechVoc organizations and giving these young people information. A lot of times we have recognized that development or lack thereof is simply a lack of access to information.
The success is there in the education sector via the IGANA program. It is there in the micro-entrepreneurial sector via the LEND program. It is there in various forms in the community. It just needs much more effort. It took almost 100 years of producing oils for some of the errors to be made in these communities and some of the oil-based habits to be developed. It will not change in 4 years entirely. It's a work in progress.